Welcome to Real Vision. My name is Santiago Velez. I'm the R&D division lead for Block Digital, and I'm excited to welcome today Mr. Chris, and if I pronounce this correctly, Spadafora. Is that right? Italian.
That's perfect, Santiago. Perfect.
All right. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
So today I'd like to get into real heavy into DeFi, which is a fairly complicated topic, I think, and into your project specifically, Badger. But before that, let's learn a little bit about yourself, how you got into the space. I know you're an OG in Bitcoin, but I think over the years, you've progressed into something even greater. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here and share a little bit about the story. And I'm excited to talk about DeFi in general because I genuinely believe it's the new financial system that we're all building together, the people's financial system. But in terms of my background as it relates to crypto, I got into Bitcoin, lucky enough, it was 2013-ish, in that range. I was living in New York City and I was at the time selling hardware and software. And my office was on Wall Street right above the original Bitcoin Center. And a friend of mine from college moved out to Long Island, and he was big into Bitcoin. And he was like, dude, we got to go down to this center that you can buy and sell Bitcoin. There's all these guys that built these crazy miners. It's really cool. So we used to go down on, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. And, dude would be up there in a bow tie with an Excel spreadsheet on the wall as the order book and literally be doing live auctions for Bitcoin. And, that's when that's when I jumped into the rabbit hole. And I just stayed part of this called the digital community and, the meetups and stuff along those lines for quite a few years, I'd say about 2.5, 3 years. And then I had an e-commerce business and I decided to want to jump full time into crypto in 2016. And then that's where I just became more active in investing and evaluating things outside of Bitcoin. And, I never was the type to be, super hardcore Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is the soundest money ever invented and the best collateral we'll ever see. But that didn't mean that everything else was a scam, right? I just never thought like that. And I think that's very narrow-minded and preventative for the entire space to move forward. But of course, being from Toronto and Ethereum starting in Toronto, as early as Ethereum was starting, I obviously caught wind and was really taken by what they were trying to build and what they were building. And a lot of friends of mine from college were, into it. And just naturally the scene here was really picking up. So that was my exposure. And then over those years, just was more active in investing and helping different projects launch and doing some community stuff, organizing conferences and different types of get-togethers and charity initiatives. And then in 2019, I decided, I really want to focus on building and have more of an impact on the space that, that I've grown to love over those years. And I saw an opportunity specifically around the lack of Bitcoin. If you rewind, today it's still really small, but, rewind a year and a half ago, there was probably under 1,000 coins, maybe even 500 Bitcoins that were off of the Bitcoin network being used in some type of utility on other blockchains, if that's Ethereum or whatever. Today there's 220,000. And it still only represents slightly over I think it's 210,000. So right at 1% of the total Bitcoin supply today is being utilized. But that was our absolute mission, right? How do you build an open community and a project that enabled those that wanted to put Bitcoin to work to be able to do that, still do it in a trusted, non-custodial way. And then, of course, have an organization or a business that's built and managed and organized by the people versus a traditional corporate structure. So that's a little bit about how everything came to the head and a bit about my background.
Awesome. So a couple of fundamentals for our viewers. Bitcoin itself, the native blockchain, does not support what we call smart contracts. And I guess smart contracts is a necessary element for decentralized finance, some kind of virtual structure that incorporates terms and conditions so you can create kind of more complex financial instruments. So Bitcoin doesn't have that natively, but there are projects out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, that are building infrastructure, I guess, on a layer 2 or side chain on top of Bitcoin to bring smart contract capability. But what you're doing is saying you recognize that the smart contract capability of Ethereum in particular met a lot of the needs that you were trying to build for, but be able to utilize the liquidity of Bitcoin. Is that a correct characterization?
Yeah, that's spot on. There's most certainly other protocols that are building on top of the Bitcoin network, but the robustness of the smart contract technology that they built, and two other very important pieces: the lack of liquidity and also the lack of interoperability as it relates to the tools that people use every day. Like, as a very easy and quick example, you can look at MetaMask, which for users is a browser extension wallet for Ethereum. But with the click of a button, you can change it to Binance Smart Chain, to another blockchain like Phantom, and but it's literally just a browser extension, and it has 5 million users. And you go log into a website that's smart contract enabled, you literally press connect your wallet, and now it recognizes all the tokens that you have in there. And if you're building a protocol, you now have anyone that has that app already installed able to activate in your application, versus what it looks like on side chains on Bitcoin, for example, that's way behind a lot of that. Not to their discredit, right? It's just like the Bitcoin blockchain is not built for this. You had to build on top, where Ethereum this is its specific purpose, right? It's a blockchain that's meant to be built on top of, and to have a smart contract layer that enables that. So most certainly that's how you would look at, I guess, the landscape of building on Bitcoin, potentially building on other networks that have smart contract availability, and then the liquidity that's available there. And for us in particular, more just in general, what I believe is, today 1% of Bitcoin has been wrapped or ported over to other blockchains, because there has to be a process, right? You can't just bring it right to the other chain with the same wallets. There needs to be a process to wrap it in the appropriate standard that's applicable to those chains. I believe, there's going to be 20, 30, 40% of all Bitcoin in existence that's living on those other chains, because it's simply, the ultimate collateral, right? It represents 50% of the entire cryptocurrency market. It has the largest user base and wallet base and holders around the world. And the fact of the matter is, like, having it in your wallet and seeing the appreciation is great, but being able to use it and have access to financial services and applications that, today are really just reserved for a lot of the, the big hedge funds and things along those lines. Like, it brings that power back to the people. And it brings it to the people in a time where banks are offering 0.005% interest and, negative rates and all these crazy stuff that's going on. It makes it relatively clear to understand, like, shoot, like, there is going to be a new system, and like, what's going to be the mode of currency on that system.
I hope you enjoyed this clip and will decide to join us for the rest of the interview, among many others, on realvision.com/crypto. The crypto channel is 100% free. You just have to sign up. Look forward to seeing you there.